It was something I was going to say. Here's something I was going to say, and I didn't put up. I didn't say. You guys know what the aquifer is? It runs through your state in the western part. The aquifer is not to be touched. I know when a few years ago, President Trump, at the end of his first election, they were going to put a pipeline through the aquifer. And I was preaching around America saying, no, 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 do not run any oil pipeline through the aquifer. I know it's great to get oil down from Canada. We need that. We need the Keystone Pipeline, but we cannot touch the aquifer. The aquifer God put there thousands of years ago to give water to America during the 7-year tribulation period. The water in the aquifer must be kept pure. So everybody in Western North Dakota, South Dakota, Nebraska, Kansas, Oklahoma, and down to Texas, it will be critical in the southern states, especially in Texas, that the water is preserved in the aquifer. God put the aquifer there for the tribulation period to save millions of Americans alive, because it will be very hot. Go with me. I'm thinking about it. Go with me to the book of Revelation, to chapter is it 9? Let me see here. Yes, chapter 9. Oh, no. Chapter 7, I mean. It talks about the 7-year tribulation period. And it says, the 16th verse, they shall hunger no more, neither thirst any more, neither shall the sun light on them, nor any heat. It will be very, very hot during the 7-year tribulation period, because the nuclear war at the beginning of the tribulation period, a couple months after the rapture, that nuclear war will damage the stratosphere and the atmosphere around this planet, and will allow ultraviolet rays into the planet more than what it is now. Let me repeat that. When God says something in the Bible, and he says it twice, pay attention. Okay, so I'm going to say this twice. The nuclear war, all the nuclear bombs, will damage the atmosphere around the planet very, very much. And it will allow more ultraviolet rays. That's why it says in the 6th chapter, men will be in, look what it says in the 6th chapter, at the end of the 6th chapter. It says in the 14th verse, the 15th verse, and the kings of the earth, and the great men, and the rich men, and the chief captains, and every mighty man, and every bondman, and every free man hid themselves in dens and in the rocks of the mountains. This is during the tribulation period. Why are people going to go underground? Because it's going to be extremely hot. They're hiding in caves. They're hiding in bunkers. They're hiding in, we call them in Oklahoma, Freddy holes, because we have tornadoes everywhere. And so they will go underground. You will need root cellars to protect your vegetables underground. Everybody hear me? Online, you hear me? There will be, are we on, Brother John? Are we online? Okay. So everybody needs a root cellar to store vegetables during. Of course, we don't plan on being here, but we need to be aware of friends and family who refuse to repent, who refuse to live for God, who refuse to live holy. We want them. We all will have relatives and friends who are going to be left behind. So anything we leave, like root cells, things like that, they can use, because as it says in the 7th chapter, it's going to be very, very hot during the tribulation period. Says they won't thirst anymore, neither shall the sun light on them, nor any heat. For the Lamb which is in the midst of the throne shall feed them, and shall lead them to living fountains of waters, and God shall wipe away all tears from their eyes. So during the 7-year tribulation period, it will even be very hot in North Dakota. And God revealed to me, through my wife, God spoke to me. Brothers, how many say God speaks to you through your wife? She said, we were coming up here and looking at the little windmills and stuff. I said, yeah, that's the way America used to get water, through those windmills to feed their cattle and water their crops. And she said, yeah, they had windmills in Holland. And in Holland, they build the windmills to get the water, the seawater pumped out to drain the land, to build up the land, to have more land. But here, we always, in in Oklahoma and the plains, we had windmills to get water to feed our cattle and for our own families. During the tribulation period, people will need windmills again to get water out of the ground because it's going to be very, very hot. Do you hear what I say? America is going to need windmills, and you're going to need radios, not to maybe escape the tornadoes, but to be underground to protect your skin, to protect your food from rotting in the hot sun, because it will be very, very hot, because the nuclear war will destroy much of the atmosphere, and there will be millions and millions of people starved to death. And we don't want our American friends, we don't want anybody starved to death. My next door neighbor, a lady by the name of Luba, she passed on to be with the Lord. Anyway, I bought an apartment. I had a story. I came home from service. It was in 1993, and I was renting an apartment, and a man was there waiting for me. He said, "We don't want an American living in this building." It was a 16-story building. I was just renting, but I'd already done all the paperwork and talked with the people who owned the apartment. They were Jewish people, and they were immigrating to Israel. And they were wanting $60,000, $70,000 for the apartment. I said, I can't do that. And I negotiated them down to $30,000. And they said, if you want to try to give us anything less than that, move out, and we will, because I was just renting. And I said, okay, $30,000 is a good offer. I talked to a real estate lady. And so I came home from church one Sunday evening, and an elderly man was there and said, we had a vote of our building, and we voted we do not want an American in this building. This is 1993. And so we talked to the militia. The militia will be here to pick you up in the morning to take you away. We are not having an American in this building. And so I called America and told my mom, I said, very likely they're going to deport me, and because the people in this building have voted not to have an American in the building. And I called the lady. I said, if there was some way I could borrow money, something in America, and pay you the $30,000, but they're going to come and get me in the morning. And if you buy anything at that time in Ukraine, it would take you 6 months at least to do a document. The government had to okay everything. She said, they've all opened the stock exchange here in Kiev, and I have a good friend who works there, and he could do a document in one day. And so I called my mom and I told her what was going on, and some people made some calls, and okay, Philip, you have $30,000. Where do you want it sent? That was within a few hours. And I said, well, and I talked to this lady. She gave me the bank information of sending it to this bank in Israel, in Haifa, in northern Israel, along the coast. I've been there before. And so we made the arrangements. They transferred the money, and the next morning early, I left. I disappeared where the militia couldn't find me. And so I went and I got the money, had been transferred. And so I hid out all day. And that night I thought, well, I'll sneak in, it's dark. And the transfer of money, everything had taken place immediately. And in one day, in less than one day, I owned an apartment because there was a law. The lady who, what was her name, Osh? No, the one from the apartment. We bought the apartment. Yeah. Sophia. And she told me when I called her, she said, we have a law that they couldn't deport you if you own the apartment that you live in. It's like, and they were privatizing, the government was privatizing the apartment, and any place where a person lived, you could privatize it and it belonged to you under the law. And Sophia had privatized her apartment. It was already done. And so that day we went to the stock exchange that morning, and I signed all the documents, bought the apartment. The money was transferred from Oklahoma to Israel that day. And so by the next morning, I owned that apartment. It's like, it was a big miracle, because I had a friend who was trying to buy an apartment in Western Ukraine. It took 9 months to do that document that God did for me in one day. So anyway, however, I got off onto that story about the apartment, but anyway, it will be very hot during the tribulation period. And so you will need across America, I I read in American Remnant. I've given that out, and I have some changes to make not changes, some additions to put in American Remnant because God has added some things to it that I need to put in. So that will be ready soon. And I tried to get it done before I came, and we did finish the map for all of America where the nuclear bombs will hit, where there will be corridors of safety to travel, to get food to the American Remnant in the West. And so I gave that about 20 minutes ago, copies of that on to Brother John. And so tonight in the service, hopefully we'll have a sheet or something up here, and we'll project that or put that on the sheet, and you can take pictures of the maps. That I would like to thank Brother Scott and Brother Stephen down in Port Lavaca, Texas. A guy, Scott, a podcaster who moved from Alabama, is helping Stephen, who's a podcaster in southern Texas, to do the work. And all they do basically is all of my preaching and prophecy stuff. They put it around the world like 24/7. It's all over. And so anyway, thank you, Scott, who worked really, really hard on those maps. And I mean, 15, 20 times I'll say, no, we got to correct this. We got to tweak this. So the maps are pretty much all finished, and we'll try to give you copies of that this evening. So we want to look at that. So anyway, now, if you have your book with you, I think everybody here has a book. This is the book of Revelation, Day of the Lord Bible School. And it's 24 messages put into 22 lessons. And it's 15 and a half hours if you order the flash drive. It's 15 and a half hours of preaching, and there are over 1,500 superimpositions there. When I'm talking about bombs exploding in Israel, we have the videos. Everything is created. It took me 23 years and I think around $70,000 to do this whole Bible school. First of all, years ago, I did this preaching in 2002, and my hair was black back then. So people, if you look at it, you say, that's not Philip. He's young. That's a young guy. Okay. So anyway, so the preaching is when I was young, and we did put it out on videos. It had 7 videos. And of course, the videos became history. So then we went to DVDs. We had to redo everything, put it on DVDs, and then we had to reformat everything. Brother Mike Harris from Mike Harris Media, we've worked together for many decades since we were young. And so Mike mastered everything. So we finally finished everything. Mike got it done about a year and a half ago. So the flash drives you can order, it's an $80 donation for the flash drives. It has a lot of information. So, and Masha downloads the information, and we can send that to you. Okay, so now let's look just briefly at the beginnings of the book of Revelation. The book of Revelation is written in past, present, and future. Let me show you, for example, in Revelation, the first chapter, it says in the 19th verse, it says, write the things, telling John, write the things which you have seen, and the things seen, past tense, and the things which are, present tense, and the things which shall be hereafter, future tense. Now, past tense in this book is chapter 1. Jesus is referred to, that I've found in this chapter, Jesus is referred to 93 times in chapter 1. It doesn't say Jesus 93 times. Now, in the book, it says, because I printed this book like 19 or 20, 22, 20, 2002, 2003, something like that, long way back. And I think I put 87 times I found Jesus mentioned in chapter 1. But now it's 93 times. I found more places. Listen, let me give you an example of what I'm talking about. The revelation of Jesus Christ. This is not the revelation of John. This is the revelation of who Jesus really is. It's like you had a statue of Jesus here, and this book, the revelation, it's not revelations, it's revelation, singular. It is the unveiling of Jesus, of who he really is. Well, I can preach a message on that, but I won't. Okay, so it is the unveiling of Jesus. So this is the revelation of Jesus to his church, to his bride. All right. So one, it's the revelation of Jesus. Two, that which God gave to him. He is the one God gave the revelation to show to his servants. He is the one who shows the revelation to his servants, not John, but Jesus. The things which must shortly come to pass. So he is the one who reveals the things which must come to pass soon. And he is the sender of the revelation. And signified it. He is the notarizer. Signified means he notarized it. He put his name on it. Okay. It is by his angel. And okay, Jesus is the one with the angel. Jesus is the one who has a servant named John. Okay, so there are 93 references to Jesus. For example, 11th verse, I am the Alpha, 2, Omega, 3, the first, 4, the last, 5. It goes on, the Alpha, the Omega, the first, the last. And so he is referred to 93 times in the first chapter. So when verse 19 says, John, write the things which you have seen, that's chapter 1, okay? And now it goes, and so I'm not going to go into all that because if you have the book, you can read it, okay? So, and you're not here, we don't want to waste time. We want to hit the high points, the things that are most important. So verse 20 says, the mystery of the 7 stars which you saw in Jesus' right hand, those stars, it's interpreted here, and the golden candlesticks, the 7 stars are the angels of the 7 churches. That means the pastors. A lot of times pastors have been called things other than angels, okay? But here, pastors are called angels. So this letter was written to 7 churches in Asia Minor where there were 7 pastors, a pastor of each of these local churches. There were other churches in Asia Minor, okay? But this book was written to 7 particular churches who had a characteristics that needed to be addressed in this book. So the stars are the angels of the churches, and the candlesticks, he said, which you saw, are the 7 churches. So the candlesticks, he has a candelabrum with 7 candlesticks. The candelabrum, the candlesticks represent the churches, and the stars in the right hand of Jesus are the pastors or the angels. All right, now chapter 2. So that chapter 1 represents the past. The praise of the things which were, and which are means the present dispensation, and that is the church age. That is chapters 2 and 3.